throughout the county. We agreed at that time that if we got the grant, that we would split the grant match per capita based on everybody's population. As always, Cherokee County's a great partner with us. They fund everything in advance. So they were successful in getting the grant, hired the design team. They've studied the corridor and have actually submitted the study to Federal Highway. So that has been completed. Now, after all the bills were paid, you come back, our portion of that comes out to $1,160.34. But they're just now wanting well, obviously we'll pay that bill, but then they want the IGA for the future partnerships, just to keep the grant writing going, is now they seek grants to enhance the corridor with the safety items. The one particular to Ball Ground is State Route 372, State Route Business 5 from A.W. Roberts at the traffic light north to where you get on the connector near Nelson. It's a high accident corridor, and unfortunately one of the highest areas in the corridor for fatalities. So they've identified improvements to making that corridor, and now we'll be working to seek funding to make those improvements.
Okay. This time, could I ask for a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, unanimous. Next item is consider the first reading of a rezoning ordinance. This is the McKinley Homes and Parks Huff, it's Flint property down on Ball Ground Highway. We have discussed that a good bit already in work sessions, and at this time though we're talking about a neighborhood that will be 144 houses, but the city will receive 50 acres
Little over 50 acres
of land along that creek that will go all the way over to 575, and it'll be a park for the city. So taking that into consideration, the houses will be on really more like 0.75 acres. If you take all the land and divide it by
consideration, yeah, it'd be, and I've got a few things I can run through if you would like. But that's cases the mayor mentioned. The sent out the updated ordinance with the conditions. There's been one other change that we would like to propose, and the applicant has accepted this, and that is the 3 or 4 lots 29 through 32 that come the closest to the cemetery, where there's the 15-foot completely undisturbed buffer. We're adding in that the backs of those lots 29 through 32 on the actual lots will also install evergreens to add even more screening between those lots in the cemetery. The other lots, get a long ways away from the cemetery. These are the only 4 that come remotely close. The other thing, just as a recap, the total site is 122.47 acres. The overall yield is 0.84 units to the acre. This is a conservation subdivision where you get to set aside a lot of green space. So total green space yield is 82.11 acres along the creek, and then what the city gets along the creek and the west side of 575. And then they will have internal green space that the city will not own, that's included in that 82 acres. Just for comparison, because we've always said we want to step up as we go out from the city center, the total yield at Sage Hill is 0.65 units to the acre. So we're going from just over essentially half acre to just over 3/4 of an acre. The case does come to the city council with a unanimous recommendation for approval from the Cherokee Municipal Planning Commission. The applicant and the applicant's counsel are here tonight if there should be any questions.
Okay, this rezoning, a lot of times we consider rezoning, there's annexation also. This property is already in the city. So at this time, we want to go ahead and move forward on approving the first reading of this rezoning ordinance.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve this zone. And I base that on what I mentioned before, is that this site's come up a lot looking for LI and such. And when we're trying to look at putting good growth, this meets that conservative subdivision. The green space in there is what sways me in that decision, but I make a motion to approve.
Okay, is there a
Second.
second? Any further discussion?
I'd just like to add on the roads, I know we had a lot of discussion about that, and we have basically zip and say so, because it's a county road that the entrance to the development will be on, but I truly hope, because I know that area well, that there is a center turn lane and at least a decel lane. I don't know about an XL because of with the bridge there and
There is an acceleration lane
there?
requirement as well as a deceleration lane.
okay,
The concept plan shows a center turn lane, and your conditions state that the project will be developed in substantial, help me with the word, substantial conformity to the concept plan. And we would consider that center turn lane to be substantial conformity.
yeah, because it's definitely with that many homes being built, it's gonna, and the speed on that road and
And I say that with the caveat that unless the county engineer comes back and says it would be unsafe to have that because of bridge distance or whatever, I'm not qualified to make that, but
right.
barring an engineering reason, conformity with the plan would have a center turn lane.
Perfect.
So it wouldn't be the applicant to pull it, only the county engineer to pull it.
Okay. That's it.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the first reading has been approved, and we'll deal with the second reading at our next meeting. So again, it's good. We discussed about the road having the turning lanes, and I'm very happy that's part of what's being done myself. So that will help the people living there to some degree. All right. Our next item under new business is consider approval of the update with the joint Cherokee County Local Emergency Operations Plan. It's called the LEOP, and it has to do with our critical infrastructure. And you want to clarify that?
Basically, it's a joint plan between every city and Cherokee County. How they plan for natural disasters or other types of disasters, establishing priorities for debris removal and power restoration and everything that they can have impact over. We updated our critical infrastructure list as part of this. Last time we did this, we didn't have a standalone police station. It's attached to this building, but still separate. So we added things like that, made sure that our infrastructure was covered. But the big thing they needed from us was the line of succession of command in an emergency. And there's no change from that previously. It obviously begins with the mayor. Absence of the mayor goes to the mayor pro tem, council members by seniority. If all y'all are out of town, I get to play with it. And then from there, it goes to department heads by seniority.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve this update?
I'll make a motion, Mayor, to approve the LEOP.
Second.
Second? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's handled. Let's move to our next item. It's consider appointment of a sign ordinance to rewrite our sign ordinance committee. And we're talking about putting Scott Barnes, Christine Rogers, our resident Dan Homiller, who's spouse of Annette, and Chief Jamie. I always call him Chief Jamie. These will be on the committee. And again, we discussed this earlier, so can we go ahead and move forward? We're looking at the problem of too many signs being placed all the time all over the city, particularly during elections. They're not supposed to be allowed on right of ways except on the weekend and stuff. But we're going to be putting together a new ordinance.
Could I recommend one additional committee member? Let's either put David on it or somebody from Public Works, because I think the chief will interpret from legal, but those are the guys that have to go out and pick up the signs. And it's,
I don't disagree with that, and I'll check with council, but I think that maybe we should consider removing me since we're gonna enforce it. I don't know how city attorney feels about me being on it. I'll let him decipher either way. I don't mind being on it, but I don't want to cause conflict.
I don't see it as a conflict. I think you ought to be there.
I'm good with it.
Well, you want to add David?
I think having the people that are gonna go out and pick the signs up,
He's gonna have to store them, so yeah.
he's gonna be looking at that ordinance and trying to determine what it is he's supposed to do. So it needs to be written where Public Works can, Water Department, sorry.
Okay, with the one added David to that.
An Amber Alert.
Shut up. This time, get a motion to approve the committee? Okay, second? Any further discussion?
I assume I should abstain since Dan's on. I don't think he needed
No.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any abstained?
Yeah.
So that's 4 in favor. So we'll set that up and hopefully we'll be able to put together results in the next couple of months. What you
I
get?
was hoping to have it on the agenda for July, get this
Well,
rolling, work really hard on it, so.
okay. Well, that, again, and you know that now you're seeing, and not just political signs, people put too many signs on that our current ordinance does not allow. So we want to actually work on the ordinance to actually make any changes that we need to. But we'll hopefully, according to Christine, hopefully that'll be handled in July, if the committee can put it together.
I can feel the pain of all their signs being picked up. I myself faced jail time a lot with my signs and had to go retrieve them. So, and I think we all kind of fell into that category.
Okay, well, again, this committee will put forth a change in the ordinance, and maybe within a month.
That's what we'll shoot for.
Okay. Well, that's all the items in new business we have at this time. This time, Chief,
Thank
you want to address us?
Yes, sir. No PowerPoints today, just gonna speak from the heart. I hate to say it, but we got a new track record on 575. For those of you that maybe don't feel like we should be out there enough, It is a road in our city, and the new top speed is 139 miles an hour. So if somebody can justify why we're going 139 miles an hour on a motorcycle, on the interstate at 4:30 in the afternoon, tell me why we don't need to be out there. Let's go get a glass of sweet tea and talk about it. But yes, that young man was doing 139 miles an hour last night at 4:30 in the afternoon on the interstate. So he's got a long time to think about that. He'll have several $1,000s worth of fines and suspensions of life. So we were safely able to remove him. Honestly, he was a danger to himself going that fast. So I was proud that the guys were able to get him stopped and able to take care of that situation. That's why we're out there on the interstate. Not only danger to other motorists, but danger to himself. Rocks, debris, tree branches, God knows what would have happened if he would have hit something like that. So just give you that. On Brewer Street, Mayor, Council, what I told my guys is don't worry about a speed number. If someone's driving too fast for the conditions of the roadway, meaning kids being out there, cars being parked, the population itself, if they're too fast for the roadway conditions, or if they're driving recklessly, do what you gotta do. I don't care about a number. So when you talk about if it's 15, 20, 25, if they're driving in a reckless manner or too fast for the roadway, we will handle it and we will handle it accordingly. If it's a ticket, it's a ticket. If it's a warning, it's a warning. If they need to go to Chapman Drive and go see the sheriff, that's what we'll do. But we're not gonna let a number dictate how we enforce. We are going to put the needs and the safety of the people first. We'll deal with numbers later. So I just want to let y'all know that's my instructions to the guys, is we've got other options rather than numbers. If they're too fast for the road conditions or they're driving in a reckless manner, let's handle it that way. Next, you've touched on it with the signs. It is political season. I love all our candidates. A lot of times they don't know what their supporters are doing. A lot of times the supporters thinking that they're doing the right thing and they're placing things in the right way. It's kind of hard to hold the candidate accountable if they don't know what their supporters are doing. However, it is their supporter. So what we're going to do is we're going to start removing some of the ones that are in the right of way. And when I say right of way, the safest thing to do is just, if you see a utility pole, you see a utility box, put it behind that box. A lot of times utility boxes are where the right of way is. So if you put it behind that box or the power pole, then you're safe, provided you have the owner's permission of that property you're putting it on. That seems to be the biggest problem. People think they can just go put a sign somewhere. Well, that's somebody's property. And if they don't want the sign there, you can't put it there. So that's my biggest, I'm the biggest advocate when it comes to that. If you want to put a sign up for Kenny, you want to support him, by all means, do so, as long as A, it's not the county right of way or city right of way, and B, you have the owner's permission. Once you have that, we're good to go. You want to put a sign on your own property. As long as it's within the ordinance, it's not vulgarity or anything like that, the PD is not going to mess with you. We have some issues with our ordinance that we're going to work through. We're going to get all squared away, but we're not looking to take people's rights away or anything like that. We don't want to do that. And then lastly, as we grow and the city grows, we've got to make sure we take care of our properties. We're going to start looking at people that are not taking their properties in the right manner, meaning that they've let their properties dilapidate. It hurts everybody's value. Nobody wants to come to a city where the properties are not being taken care of, or they've let it get out of control. So the PD is going to focus over the next 90 to 120 days. We're going to start targeting some areas that need some attention. We're not trying to generate revenue. I really don't care about raising funds. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to get compliance. So you might get somebody come to your door and says, hey, look, what do we need to do to get this property back to a condition that's better than what it is now? We know it can happen overnight and get in that condition, so we're going to give people some time to get their properties back up to a standard that's acceptable to the city. So that's what we're going to focus on in the next 90 to 120 days. It does seem to get a little bit more harder in the warmer months. Grass grows a little faster, things get, it takes a little longer to get things done. So we're going to work with some people and get it done. But we have neglected it a little bit from the PD standpoint, and I'll take responsibility for that. But as we grow, we need to make sure our properties stay looking as nice as they can, because that's what people want to see. That's what we need to do. It helps with our road control. It helps with our litter control. And it makes the city look a lot better. So we're going to focus that. Our kickoff's going to be the next 90 to 120 days, focusing on making sure that our properties are up to a standard that we as city residents and we as city workers want our city to be. Other than that, we had a great concert last month. We're expecting a great concert this month. We got a good idea of what we're going to do with the fire department. We worked really good with them, and we're ready for a safe board.
Okay. Any questions for our chief? Thank you. 139 miles an hour.
He's moving.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
An organ donor.
Yes, sir.
But we do have our police department now is seen throughout the city all the time, and that's historically that's something that we only would have one place, but now our residents your neighborhoods are being looked at constantly by our police department. That makes it safer. But so, no questions. Thank you, Chief. At this time, Eric, you want to update us on your?
Oh, to start, everybody should have a copy of the detailed financial report. You can see it's that time of year, fund balances continue to decline. We're tightening the belt a little bit in utilities. We're down 810,000 there, so we're going to tighten up. But we went ahead and spent money while the guys had time. Almost 50% of our system now is the new cellular meters that our customers can interact with and set up leak detection and be read from the office instead of crews spending time in a truck out around the city reading meters. Revenue and expenses for May, we had a total revenue of $354,000 against expenditures of $548,000. Year to date, we're at almost $6 million in revenue against $5.25 billion in expenditures. We're in full year-end prep, preparing for the audit. At the end of this month, we'll also have they'll show up and do our inventory check in the water department. Spelled it wrong, but exploration of dependent coverage, as we talked about at the work session. So we're setting up that appointment and trying to get away where we can start getting dependent coverage for some of our employees. We're also working with a couple of groups right now and getting pricing on scanning services. We are running out of room on records, and so trying to get more digitized and scanned, electronically filed, where we can get rid of the paperwork. On the bond issue, I think we covered that enough at the work session. We won't be moving forward with the bond. On the roundabout, Wilson Construction, I think everybody sees the work taking place down there. Again, that was $3.249 million on the contract. The big news on that is that so far, leaders in Washington have submitted us for $20 million in funding for the roundabout. Congressman McCormick submitted us for $10 million. Senator Warnock submitted us for $10 million. We are waiting. The deadline is Monday for everything to be into appropriations. And so we're waiting to see if Senator Ossoff came through for us and if Congressman Loudermilk came through. So we're asking everybody to put in $10 million, hoping that we can get 20, at which point we can get the governor to toss in the other and build the truck bypass. Down on the roundabout, pictures of what's been going on there. Trees are cleared. The big activity right now is the water line relocations. Got ahead of myself. The 372 spur bypass, that was on the where we've got the 20 million being requested so far. Mountain Brook sidewalk, all the storm drain is finally installed. All water utility conflicts have been resolved. Project's about 85% complete. Really having a challenge just getting these last few over the hurdle. They're still well within their contract deadline. We'd just like to get it finished and get people walking on it.
And they were putting forms out when I came over.
Good.
We're gonna report some conflict.
Again, we just always like to show the pictures. The The sidewalks are easy. It's all the storm drain issues where they have to build all these funky boxes and then pour concrete lids over them. And running all that pipe is what runs up the cost and takes so much time. Sanitary survey, we discussed that last month. That'd been here. We have finally received the written report, which did match the verbal report they gave us when they left. Sometimes that doesn't always happen. So we still have a couple items left to do, which is the repiping within the well house to change a sample location and to replace a union that is leaking. On the Mountain Brook sidewalk connection, work was completed there in the Mountain Brook neighborhood over the past couple of weeks. That connection has now been tied in from Mountain Brook. Offloading structures and getting ready to do real work within the area itself there at Pulte Homes, Bleckley Station. We're looking right now at a timeline, hopefully by January, to have a higher pressure delivery zone to the higher elevations in Mountain Brook. We should see crews on Jordan Road installing the new water line there mid-July or so, and then wrapping up inside Bleckley Station by mid-October. Then we work to connect the two, get our bacteria samples, and deliver hopefully about 20 to 30 pounds of additional pressure at the top of the mountain. Just to be clear though, we are delivering about 25 pounds more than the state requires already. Our residents would just like more. From someone who lives at the top of the mountain. Water Department also has flagger training scheduled for next month. It said the meter change is pushing 50%, so about 700, a little over 700 of those now in the ground. Been some changes in the last 30 days. You've heard me talk a lot about PFAS. The federal government has now narrowed it down to only two chemicals that we're going to have to worry about, which is PFOA and PFAS. And 4 parts per trillion has now been established as the maximum contaminant level that is allowed. We have to have testing done by late 2027. And if there's any issues, we have to have full compliance by the year 2030. We have two more sets of samples, one in August and one of October, that we will be doing again for unregulated contaminants and PFOA. So far, everything has been zero detection. If those two come back at zero detection, that we will have met the 2030 standard and won't have to worry about the 2027. So we're 2-3 years ahead of the game of where regulations require. Just some of the things the guys deal with. I think I sent out an email on this where the sinkhole developed in the road over at Old Mill. This one was actually very, very unusual. I think I explained that the contractor at some point in building that, the top didn't fit, so he stacked bricks under it and put a swipe of concrete over it, and so you didn't see it. Truck hit this just right and crushed the brick. So this is what we ended up with in there. So, but it's repaired and done. But as you can see, the way that lid was, we were catching a lot of infiltration into the sewer system from there as well. Parks in downtown, we had a great concert until it rained. But 1,500 probably or so people just stayed and danced in the rain. So it was still a good night. Got the beginning set of our Heritage Walk. One of the things that was on the list was getting that monument moved from Lions Field to down onto Valley Street. So that has been completed, and that was the one we were most afraid of breaking during transport. Everybody thought something was really happening in Ball Ground because it needed a full police escort. Uh, they took it down the road, probably not much more than 2 miles an hour, because marble is brittle when it's unsupported. They were afraid they were going to lose the monument. Had to close all of Valley Street and detour traffic because the crane took up all of Valley Street with the outriggers down to be able to reset the monument. So it was a fun day.
We cleaned that up.
The Parks Committee has developed a repairs and upgrades list. This is just a sample of it, but similar to our capital improvement plan that we keep reporting to the group as projects get taken care of. These aren't capital projects. These are repair and maintenance items that we felt needed to be addressed from the committee level in our parks and downtown area. So we've already got a start on it. We've already got some items turning green, several yellows, but getting things moving along. And held 4 different planning sessions that the group was working on this month. It's already time. Doesn't sound like it in June, but we're working on the March of the Toys for Tots parade. Getting ready to get all that information together, requests in with the Marines. The fireworks, obviously, that's right on top of us. The Veterans Day ceremony, I think you've got everything except the flyover confirmed at this point. So it's all good there. And then, of course, getting ready for Art on Main. Community development and building permits, we had 0 issued for the month of April. So a total of 22 so far for the year. And this is only new home construction. We probably had 6 or 8 permits for anything from swimming pools to remodels.
23 versus 22.
Rezoning that's being worked, the first reading on the Flint application, McKinley Homes, and then Covington has gone through the Planning Commission. That will come to you for a first reading next month. We'll try to get you more information out on that next week, but that comes to the mayor and council with a unanimous recommendation of denial from the Planning Commission. Active developments, no real changes on the first slide from what you've been looking at. We do have a second page now. Cowart Heights on 33 lots. That's, that come to us and left and come back and left. But they resubmitted another full set of plans this week, so we'll begin plan review on that. And then the Eastwood Towns, it's right across from the entrance of Eastwood Homes on Ball Ground Highway. That's already zoned property. We've been working on this, have been back and forth in plan review for probably 2.5 years now. This project has gone from 90 units to 43 units and still might lose a couple of more. But they have submitted their NOI this week. So notice of intent to EPD to disturb land. This is what that development, just a highlight of what it would look like. This area right here, this is the entrance to Eastwood Homes. This would be the entrance to this project. Most everything is going to be all the way at the back of the property with this remaining green area. This will be a private road. There will be private water lines. We will have a master meter for water set at this location right here, and that will all be handled internally. Part of the reason for that is it's a arch bridge in this area right here, which we weren't going to get into accepting into our inventory to try and maintain that on 43 homes. Active developments for commercial is still the industrial with Merrill up on Old Canton Road. Howell Bridge storage is just about complete, and the Magby expansion is nearing completion. Already discussed those right there. Other developments, still no submittal on Roberts East, that was zoned a couple of months ago. Still have no submittals in on that. And then we have no submittals for what is the Hendricks House site on Old Canton Road. There's still nothing been submitted there.
You finished?
We're done. Ball ground rocks.
So usually I say any questions for Eric, but since we all deal with him daily, I think we ask when we need to. But again, thanks, Eric. You do such a good job.
Thank you.
At this point, I just want to mention one thing to council. At our next work session, I'd like us to discuss since we raised the speed limit down here on Valley Street, we're considering putting in a speed camera around the school. And I'd like us to actually discuss that at the next work session. But in July, our work session is going to be, it won't be the first Thursday, it'll be the second Thursday in July, and then this meeting will be the third Thursday, since the third,
10th and 17th.
right. Annette, anything you want to add?
No,
Okay,
happy summer.
I don't know if people sitting here saw the storm, that the wind blowing and the hard rain that's been occurring while but the power didn't go off.
Yeah.
It's good. Christine?
No, we won't see everybody until after 4th of July, so everybody have a safe and happy 4th of July, and just be careful. Hopefully it won't rain on our celebration.
Okay, I'll do that.
We've been lucky for 10 years.
I know, but boy,
All this
based on
rain,
this
I'm worried.
weather this year, I mean, my yard loves it. It's really, everything's really green and growing fast, but
Dennis?
I missed the work session. It's, but there's still some work to be done, looks like, on the signs. Thank you to all the city council, the city workers, city staff. They continue to do such a good job. I just passed a police car on my way in, coming through the neighborhood. It's nice to see that. It really is. Good high visibility. Thank you.
Vicky?
Just, safe travels to everybody if you're going out of town for the 4th of July. If you're sticking around the ground, we got a great fireworks show, as you well know. We do have a major convention next week that most of the council will be traveling to Savannah for training and catching up, I guess, with everything. So, that's all I have to say. But anyway, happy 4th of July.
Okay, thank you. Scott?
Just thank you for everybody coming out this evening and participating in the city. Thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, we do have we've been going to this thing in Savannah for years. It's training for the Georgia Municipal Association. And so we got, how many are going? 4? So it's very, you learn a lot. You learn how good our city is compared to a lot of smaller cities, particularly in South Georgia. But we it's a great opportunity for us to learn things, and so we'll start that next week at this time. At this time, does anybody want to address the council? Justin?
What do I have, about 20 minutes? No, I'm just kidding. 5, right?
5.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager, City Attorney, City Clerk, and Chief. I want to take this opportunity and residents here to say hello. Good evening. My name is Justin Page. I want to start by saying that I want to commend and say what a wonderful job that all of you have been doing. I want to just share my heart with you for a moment. Ball Ground has a wonderful reputation. I'm 41 years old. I was born and raised in Macedonia community, and I'm a fourth generation Page family. Grew up on Jack Page Lane on Highway 20. I don't know if y'all know where I'm talking about, but the reputation here in this city is top notch. So I want to say that every one of you should be very proud of the reputation that this city has. And I can't take any credit for that, but I am happy to be a small part of this city. And I want to share with you briefly and tell you a little bit more about me. I live and was born and raised in Macedonia. My son plays baseball, actually. And my heart, being from Macedonia, you would think that I would have my son play at Macedonia. We didn't choose Macedonia. You would think that where I live on Avery Road in District 1, right there in the Hickory Flat community, I would do what most do, go play at Canton. I didn't choose Canton. I have been coaching here in the city of Ball Ground for the past several years, so it's an honor to be a coach, to lead these young men and in some cases young women, to be a coach here. I've had the opportunity to also minister here several times at the First Baptist of Ball Ground. When I was 15 years old, the Lord called me to preach. I've been ministering and preaching since I was 15. When I got married in 2017, something big happened in my life. I got married, I got ordained as a minister, and called to my first church to pastor, and found out I was having a son all in the same year. So I was very blessed and stressful year for me. I wanted to share briefly how I got here, how I'm here in front of you this evening as a candidate for District 1 Commissioner. I'm one of 8. So if my math does me correct, City Manager, you can correct me on that. I have a 12.5% chance of winning. So am I right on the math on that? Okay. So I started as a young man in the relocation industry, worked my way up, was on a moving truck for a while, all the while still preaching, pastoring, ministering. Started in the moving industry, probably about 5 years into the moving industry. The Lord laid it on my heart to be a public servant here in the Cherokee County. I was hired by Cherokee County and was the deputy coroner for Cherokee County for 2 years under Earl Darby. I did that role because the Lord wanted me to give back to the community. In addition, while I was doing that, I was working full-time in the relocation industry and pastoring and preaching. So I had a full schedule. I'm happy to share that during those 2 years, I had the opportunity of working with several of your police officers on the calls that I'd done. I was dispatched on at the wee hours of the morning. Also had a chance to develop relationships with firefighters, and I am proud to tell you that during those 2 years, I saved every dime that I made in that position and was able to, my son is 6 years old, and I paid for his entire college during those 2 years. So that's setting in an account, and my son will go to a nice college and get the opportunity that I didn't have as a young man, being very poor growing up. So fast forward how I got here. In 2020, I came home and told my wife, I said, honey, the Lord told me that it was time to start my own moving company. So many of you may recognize my name as being the owner of Page Relocation. I actually had a facility in Ball Ground just down the road, one of 4. We also employed several people in the community here. I started Page Relocation in 2020, came home to my wife and said, I quit my job today. She said, you did what? And I said, it's time to start our own business. I announced that I was starting Page Relocation. 2 weeks later, the world shut down with COVID. My wife comes home, I get home, she looks at me and she says, "Are you sure that the Lord told you to start your business?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." Fast forward 5 years later, we grew to the largest relocation company in Cherokee County. We were the top rated, still today, a 5.0 perfect star on Google, and we were the largest employer family owned organization in the moving industry in Cherokee County. We had 4 locations. We were $5 million over in revenue with over 50 employees, and to God be the glory for every bit of that. I was approached February of this year by 2 young men that offered me something to purchase my business that I could not turn down. So I sold Page Relocation in 2020, in 2025 of February of this year. Fast forward a couple of months later, y'all all know that Brandon Beach was called by Trump to take on the role. Y'all all know your current commissioner in District 1 here, Steve West, resigned his post and is trying for that seat. You're looking at one of 8 that is trying to take that man's place. I want to say that I'm honored at the opportunity. I'm here tonight because I care. I'm here tonight because it's important to me to meet y'all, talk with you should I be blessed enough to be in this role. So I just wanted y'all to hear my heart for a moment and let you hear why I'm here, what I'm here for. I will say this in closing. I'm very committed, should I be the one, very committed to working with all of you and this community, Ball Ground, a wonderful, wonderful community, as your District 1 possible commissioner that has a 12.5% chance of winning. My campaign manager, Chief Ball here, tells me that I have a little bit more chance, he thinks. But I'll say this. I've learned a lot in a few months, but I will say this, I still have a lot to learn. An old mentor of mine one time said this. They said, if you ever get to a point where you feel like you've arrived, you're in trouble. So I've taken that to heart. I'm open, I'm willing, I'm able. I will say one thing that sets me aside is I have the time to do this. I will be one of the few candidates that you'll meet that this will be my full-time job, is being the District 1 possible commissioner. It's an honor to be here tonight. Thank all of you for all the work that you do. If you have any questions for me at any time, please don't hesitate to call me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Justin. We appreciate you reaching out to us since you're, the position open now for our city and this part of the state, of the county, but we do appreciate, I normally, when people talk a long time, I say, sorry, your 5 minutes is up, but I do appreciate you coming. We haven't had very many to show up to speak to us. But again, when is the election? It's in
It's
August.
26th. Early voting starts early August.
But yeah, August. I better vote before that's my anniversary. We'll be out of town. So anyway, again, I appreciate you speaking to us. Anybody else want to speak? Okay. At this time, council, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn our meeting?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're officially adjourned here. Appreciate everybody attending.